And time for one more thing, a very important day it is in South Africa. We can cross back to Leanne, who is in Rivonia, this ahead of the 56th anniversary celebrations and commemoration of the arrest of anti-apartheid activists at Lilieslief farm. It's not a celebration, it wasn't really, but I think today we have a rich history that we can reflect on. Let's cross over to Leanne now at Lilieslief. Leanne?
Thanks very much, Sakina. Yes, indeed, this is the last crossing that we're doing for you, and we thought we'd make it a little bit more special and try and sort of give you an understanding of what Lilieslief is all about and give you the idea of what life was like all those years ago. I mean, as you say, 56 years ago, and you use the word celebrate. No, nothing to celebrate on this particular day, but certainly to see how far we have come and the freedom that many are enjoying at this point is that something to celebrate. But freedom was not something that any of the struggle veterans at the time enjoyed. I mean, in fact, I'm standing in the room that was Nelson Mandela's at the time. As we've been discussing the whole time, he was here using a name, acting as a gardener while they were working, all of the Rivonia trialists that were here. He, of course, was one of them. And this is where David Matsmai used to stay. And this was the room that he used to live in. Now, I mean, if you kind of look how small and tiny and obscure his life was, living in the small little room with absolutely nothing and no one around him. Of course, now the walls look a lot more colorful with some beautiful messages from South Africans and, as you can see, mostly from children that have come here and visited. And just one reading, "Dear Radebe, thank you for helping South Africa through all the difficult times and feuds within the country. We truly appreciate all that you have done. You are an inspiration." From many South African citizens. And many of these messages go on and on. But imagine living in this little room, isolated away from everyone and trying to fight for a nation. Well, that's exactly, we just wanted to take you into this room to kind of have a look and see what it was like. Nothing glamorous about this at all. It was a farm. It is not a farm anymore, but of course they've tried to keep the original structure as much as they can at Lilieslief. And this is where, of course, that arrest took place 56 years ago. Now, what's great is the fact that we have Jeff Radebe with us here this morning. We've always known the relationship between the ANC and the SACP has been a good one. And we're going to talk a little bit further with Jeff Radebe. It's very difficult, and I told him earlier, to not be calling you Minister, because from the day we met, I thought your first name was Minister.
There's life after Minister.
I'm happy to hear that. In fact, what is life? How is life treating you now?
Well, you know that I go to Kasalinga now with my daughter and family.
I know, you and I both.
Homework with her. This afternoon I'm going to her school to see how she's progressing at school. So I'm really enjoying it.
I don't blame you. I mean, I think you've given your life to this, and I think now it's time to maybe give your life to your children, which is something that many of us are able to do.
Indeed, I'll do that, but I'm still continuing with the ANC, as you know. I'm head of ANC policy, so the struggle continues.
It certainly does. And I mean, when you look at a day like today, because some people sort of breeze over today like it was just any other insignificant day, but it really isn't. The things that happened on this day 56 years ago shaped the future, didn't it?
Yes, indeed. In fact, this was a watershed moment, even though it was a very sad day for the liberation struggle in South Africa. But you could see that the apartheid regime wanted to break the back of our liberation movement, because the luminaries of our freedom struggle, the real creme de la creme of a service leadership, Sisulu, Kathrada, many of those were arrested here in Rivonia. And of course, Mandela was already in the Fort prison, serving 5 years for leaving the country without a passport and undergoing military training. And later on, the little Rivonia of Wilton Mkwai, Mek Maharaj, Lalu Chiba, Dave Kitson, all this signified that if we didn't have strong ideals, the struggle for freedom would have been lost. But that visionary leadership, that's why we always say that cream of leadership, in fact, they are the real architects of our constitutional democracy that many South Africans now take it for granted. So the sacrifices that were made 56 years ago must continue, but in a new era now where we need to find for the total emancipation of our people, economic freedom in our lifetime.
And this is the reality. These are the battles and the struggles that people are fighting today, and that's why I think many people look back and say, listen, we're grateful and that was great and everything, but look at what we're struggling through right now. And that unfortunately is the reality of so many South Africans. As much as we want to celebrate how far we've come, there's still so many challenges, and that brilliant leadership is what many people are saying are lacking to get us there. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's very sad. I was watching TV the other day, comrades and ordinary citizens of Everton Township complaining about the lack of service delivery. We know the story of Alexandra, not far from here. I think the service leadership that was demonstrated by Mandela Sisulu, Dennis Goldberg, I think we need to reignite that vision and also to make a resolution as South Africans today, especially young people, that let's serve our people, not ourselves. So we need to focus on service delivery. So I'm very happy that in his State of the Nation address, President Ramaphosa was focusing on the issues of a local government, because that's where service delivery impacts on ordinary South Africans.
And that's what we need to focus on more importantly. A message on this day as we wrap up this interview and go back to Johannesburg. What is your message to South Africans on this day? Because I don't want this day to become just another day in the calendar that we don't actually look at, and this place should be full of people coming and visiting.
My message is that let's not forget where we come from. History is very important, because it is through history that we can see where we are today and give us the vision and also the roadmap for the future. Let's remember our heroes, that these people were prepared to lay down their lives, as Mandela said on the dock in Rivonia, that he has fought against black domination, against white domination, for free and democratic society. Those ideals, he was prepared to die. So let's take that vision, as I said, in a new direction now towards economic emancipation of the people of South Africa.
Jeff Radebe, thank you very much for talking to us. Always a pleasure. In fact, when you do visit here, there's a little button you can press and you will be able to hear some of the actual recordings from the trial, and that you'll find over there. It's been a pleasure coming to you from Lilieslief. Have a wonderful